Imagine stumbling upon a lifeless body in the snow, only to discover their tongue, eyes, and parts of their face mysteriously missing. This chilling detail from the infamous Dyatlov Pass incident is just the beginning of one of the most perplexing mysteries in modern history. What really happened on that frozen mountainside? Was it a natural disaster, a government cover-up, or something far more sinister? Tonight, we'll dive deep into the strange injuries, eerie behavior, and unanswered questions that make this case more terrifying than any horror story. The truth might just keep you up at night. In January 1959, a group of 9 young hikers set out on what should have been an exciting adventure through the Ural Mountains. They were experienced, well-prepared, and eager to conquer the challenging 190-mile trek to Vizhay. Little did they know that their journey would become one of the most perplexing mysteries in modern history. The expedition was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student known for his meticulous planning and outdoor skills. His team consisted of 7 men and 2 women, all in their early 20s. They were students from the Ural Polytechnic Institute, bonded by their love for the wilderness and thrill of exploration. As they began their hike, the mood was light and spirits were high. The group laughed and joked, their breath visible in the crisp winter air. They took photos, documenting their progress through the snow-covered landscape. The Ural Mountains loomed ahead, majestic and foreboding. But the mountains had other plans. On the 4th day of their journey, one of the hikers, Yuri Yudin, felt a sharp pain in his leg. His sciatica was flaring up, making it impossible for him to continue. With heavy hearts, the group said their goodbyes as Yudin turned back. None of them could have guessed that this twist of fate would save his life. The remaining 8 pressed on, their path growing steeper and more treacherous. The weather turned harsh, with biting winds and plummeting temperatures. Yet they persevered, their training and determination carrying them forward. On February 1st, they reached the slope that would become their final campsite. It was a gentle incline near Kolet, a name that would soon be changed to Dyatlov Pass in memory of their ill-fated leader. They pitched their tent, seeking shelter from the unforgiving elements. Inside the tent, they prepared a meal, their last moments of normalcy captured in a roll of film later discovered at the site. The photos show them smiling, unaware of the terror that awaited them. As night fell, the wind howled outside, carrying with it a sense of foreboding. What happened next remains a mystery that has puzzled investigators for decades. Something caused the hikers to slash their way out of the tent from the inside, fleeing into the freezing night without proper clothing or equipment. Their footprints in the snow told a tale of panic and confusion. Days turned into weeks with no word from the expedition. Concern grew among their families and friends. When they failed to return as scheduled, a search party was organized. Little did they know that they were about to uncover a scene that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. As we delve into the grisly discoveries made by the search party, remember that what you're about to hear is not for the faint of heart. The Dyatlov Pass incident is a story of inexplicable horror, one that continues to defy logical explanation to this day. Imagine walking up to a tent in the middle of nowhere, perfectly intact save for a jagged tear from the inside. Now picture finding the first 2 bodies, barely clothed in sub-zero temperatures, with injuries that defy explanation. But that's just the beginning of the Dyatlov Pass mystery. What the search party uncovered next would challenge everything they thought they knew about survival and death in the wilderness. The search party's initial discovery was unsettling. The hikers' tent stood eerily on the mountainside, looking almost normal from the outside. But as they got closer, they saw it had been slashed open from within. Inside, everything was in its place. Food sat on a plate, as if the group had been in the middle of a meal when something made them flee in terror. About 1.5 miles from the tent, they found the first 2 bodies. Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonischenko lay side by side near the remains of a small fire. They were barely dressed, despite the bone-chilling cold. Krivonischenko's body showed signs of burns, and strangest of all, a piece of flesh had been bitten off his own hand. It was as if he'd been driven to desperation in his final moments. As the search continued, they found 3 more bodies, including Igor Dyatlov himself. These 3 were positioned in a way that suggested they had been trying to make their way back to the tent when they succumbed to the cold. But it was the discovery of the final 4 bodies that truly shocked the searchers. These last victims weren't found until months later when the spring thaw revealed their resting place. Their injuries were horrific and puzzling. Some had fractured skulls. Others had crushed ribcages. The force required to cause such damage was immense, like what you'd see in a high-speed car crash. But there were no external signs of trauma, no bruising or cuts on the skin. And then there was Lyudmila Dubinina. Her injuries were the most disturbing of all. Her tongue was missing. Her eyes were gone. Parts of her facial tissue had been removed. It was a nightmarish scene that defied rational explanation. The official investigation concluded that the hikers had died due to a compelling natural force. But what kind of natural force could cause such bizarre injuries? What could make 9 experienced hikers cut their way out of their own tent and run into certain death in the freezing night? And how do you explain the missing body parts? These questions have haunted investigators and amateur sleuths for decades. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains one of the most perplexing mysteries of the 20th century. As we dig deeper into the theories and speculations surrounding this case, keep these grisly details in mind. They're the pieces of a puzzle that, to this day, no one has been able to solve completely. The Dyatlov Pass incident has spawned countless theories over the years, each trying to make sense of the inexplicable. As we examine these explanations, you'll find that the truth might be stranger than anything we could have imagined. Let's start with the avalanche theory. It seems plausible at first, a sudden rush of snow overwhelming the camp. But there are problems. The tent was found intact, and the slope wasn't steep enough for a typical avalanche. That's where the concept of a slab avalanche comes in. It's different from what we usually think of as an avalanche. Imagine a large, flat piece of snow breaking off and sliding downhill. It's possible, but some experts are skeptical. They argue that even slab avalanches need steeper terrain. Now, what about the hikers' strange behavior? Why did they flee their tent half-naked into the freezing night? This is where the paradoxical undressing theory comes into play. It's a known phenomenon in hypothermia cases. As the body starts to shut down, people can feel an overwhelming sensation of heat. They start taking off their clothes, even though it's freezing outside. It's a chilling thought, isn't it? Imagine feeling so hot that you strip down in sub-zero temperatures. But that doesn't explain everything. What about the crushed ribcages and fractured skulls? Some researchers point to the infrasound theory. They suggest that wind hitting the mountains could have created low-frequency sound waves. These waves can cause panic, disorientation, and even hallucinations. It's an invisible force that could explain the hikers' irrational behavior. Of course, there are more outlandish theories too. Some people talk about UFO encounters or attacks by the legendary Yeti. Others suggest secret weapons testing gone wrong. It sounds far-fetched, but there's one detail that keeps these theories alive: radiation. Some of the hikers' clothing was found to contain traces of radiation. It's a puzzling piece of evidence that has fueled speculation about government cover-ups. Speaking of cover-ups, the official investigation's conclusion of a compelling natural force has raised eyebrows. It's vague enough to encompass almost anything. Some see it as a convenient way to close the case without revealing potentially sensitive information. As for the missing body parts, like Dubinina's tongue and eyes, some researchers suggest a less supernatural explanation. They point to scavenging animals, which might have found the bodies after death. It's a grim thought, but it's one possibility among many. So, which theory seems most plausible to you? The slab avalanche? The infrasound panic? Or something more sinister? As we dive deeper into recent developments, keep these theories in mind. The truth about what happened on Dyatlov Pass might be a combination of factors, or something we haven't even considered yet. Just when it seemed the Dyatlov Pass mystery would remain forever unsolved, science stepped in with a groundbreaking discovery. But does this new evidence truly put the case to rest, or does it raise even more chilling questions? In February 2019, the Russian government decided to take another crack at the Dyatlov Pass incident. They reopened the investigation, focusing on three weather-related theories: an avalanche, a snow slab, or a hurricane. Prosecutor Alexander Korenoy made it clear from the start that foul play wasn't on the table. "Crime is out of the question," he said. "There is not a single proof, even an indirect one, to favor this criminal version." The investigation led to an intriguing theory proposed by Andrei Kuryakov. He suggested that a slab avalanche might be the culprit. Now, this isn't your typical avalanche that you see in the movies. A slab avalanche is more subtle, but potentially just as deadly. Imagine a large, flat piece of snow breaking off and sliding down a slope. It's like nature's version of a slow-motion landslide, but with snow. In 2021, this theory got a boost from an unexpected source. Swiss scientists Johann Gaum and Alexander M. Puzrin published a study that put the slab avalanche idea to the test. They used computer models to recreate the conditions on that fateful night in 1959. Their findings were eye-opening. The study suggested that a perfect storm of factors could have triggered a slab avalanche. Irregular terrain and strong winds called katabatic winds might have deposited snow on the slope near the hikers' camp. When this snow gave way, it could have caused injuries similar to those found on some of the bodies. The scientists even created a 3D map of the area using a drone, giving us a new perspective on the landscape. But here's the kicker: the study doesn't claim to solve the entire mystery. Johann Gaum, the lead author, was clear about this. "We do not claim to have solved the Dyatlov Pass mystery, as no one survived to tell the story," he said. "But we show the plausibility of the avalanche hypothesis, for the first time." Not everyone is convinced, though. Jim McElwain, a professor of geohazards, pointed out that slab avalanches usually happen on steeper slopes than what's found at Dyatlov Pass. He said, "It's unlikely, but that doesn't stop it being the best explanation." It's a reminder that even with new evidence, we're still dealing with probabilities, not certainties. And let's not forget, there are still pieces of the puzzle that don't quite fit. The slab avalanche theory doesn't explain some of the more bizarre aspects of the case, like the missing eyes and tongue. Some experts suggest these could be the result of scavenging animals, but it's hard to shake the feeling that there's more to the story. As we peel back the layers of this mystery, each answer seems to bring new questions. The Dyatlov Pass incident continues to captivate us, decade after decade. And who knows? Maybe the next breakthrough is just around the corner, waiting to shed new light on that terrifying night in the Ural Mountains. The Dyatlov Pass incident continues to haunt us, decades after those 9 young hikers met their mysterious end. Despite recent scientific studies and renewed investigations, we're left with more questions than answers. The slab avalanche theory offers a plausible explanation for some aspects, but it can't account for everything we've uncovered. Why does this case grip us so tightly? Perhaps it's the eerie combination of the explainable and the inexplicable. We can picture ourselves in those hikers' shoes, facing an unknowable terror in the dark. Their story taps into our deepest fears and our endless curiosity about the unknown. As we close this chapter, I encourage you to keep digging. Share your thoughts, your theories. The truth about Dyatlov Pass might still be out there, waiting for someone to piece it all together. Who knows? You might be the one to finally crack this enduring mystery.